Which diet to follow? What to eat? Should I be following the keto diet or should I be following the low carbs diet? Well, so many questions floating around. Don't you worry, we have all the answers on this very platform. A brand new show by Friday Magazine. Hi everyone, My Dubai presents Food for Thought in association with Adil Trading and Waterfront Market. Well, super excited to be on this platform. Guess why? Because I love talking about food. Well, my name is Pallavi and I'm super excited to be on this journey with you. And joining me is our renowned nutritionist Rashi Chowdhary, who has a column in the Friday Magazine, something that you should definitely check out. And she's also guided a lot of Bollywood stars to get their ideal weight. Hi Rashi, welcome to Food for Thought.
Thank you for having me.
Are you excited to be on this journey?
Always. Anything to do with food and health, always excited to talk about it.
So let's start from the very beginning. When did it all start for you?
Oh, well, I think it all started for me when I was like 13 or 14. Like all of us go through these insecurity issues, and for me it was always about, I just want to be thin. So then when I grew up, it was about, I'm in a Punjabi family, I've only seen people being overweight. Right. I just want to be thin. So I wanted to become a nutritionist just so all my life I can be a certain, basically be a certain weight. And I think that's where it really started. I never thought I would make an entire profession out of this whole thing. But well, here I am. It's been 15 years.
Spoke about being thin.
Yeah.
That is something that most of the women want to do. Like you meet them, either they're talking about how much weight they've lost or how much weight they've gained.
Oh yeah.
So did it ever happen to you in your life where your weighing scale was like your best friend?
Well, it's never your best friend, actually. It's the best friend who backstabs you. But yeah, I think when I was in college and studying nutrition, that's when there was another friend of mine who was like 46 kilos and I used to be around 52, 53. And I have done every single diet. Back then I've done keto, dipping broccoli into like mayo and eating chicken nuggets because I thought that'll at least get me to 48, So yeah, I've been there as well and I've dealt with those kind of insecurities as well.
So I think each one of us goes through this and I'm sure our viewers can relate to this. Diets, so many diets.
Everybody. Right? Food is so emotional and all of us have emotions and everybody can relate to it.
So my question to you is, what according to you is actually being healthy?
Wow.
The ideal weight, health.
Yeah. This is so broad, right? Because being healthy is so different for everybody.
Absolutely.
It also depends on where you are in your life. At that point, being healthy could mean something else. For someone, it could be weight. Someone, it could be going back to your pre-pregnancy clothes. For some people, it's reversing diabetes. But I think for me, after being in this for so many years, Pallavi, I think it comes down to 5 basic things.
Okay.
And if you are able to balance these 5 basic factors, that's when magic happens and that's when you go from just barely surviving to thriving, and that to me is healthy. And these 5 factors are super simple.
Tell us.
Not so glamorous, but it's your food, it's your activity, it's your sleep, it's your emotional well-being and connection to source. I think when these 5 things come together, that's when we are super healthy.
It still sounds a little complex, if you could sort of break it down.
Yeah. I think let's start with food. Okay. Because I think that's how you said, like everyone's just, confused.
Yeah.
Low carb or keto or
which diet to follow. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So first thing, it's important to remember that nobody knows your body better than you do.
Absolutely.
And experts like me can direct you, but eventually the idea is to tap into your own body wisdom and use that and, reach a conclusion. So what I do with my clients is the way I direct them is, it's really simple actually. Bring it down to 3 things. Gut health, your hormonal profile, and your food psychology, which I think is pretty much the most important one.
Right.
Gut health, very simple. And I know we'll be diving into this in our second episode, but just to touch upon it quickly.
Sure.
Making connections between what you eat and how you feel. So for example, you eat a bowl of hummus, you're feeling queasy in your stomach, you feel gassy. It means your body is giving you a sign, don't eat it.
So which means hummus could work for someone and it might not work for you.
100%.
So the same diet doesn't work for 2 people.
Of course, I think we know this now.
Obviously, yeah.
100%. If you're someone who has skin issues or you have acne, consider giving up dairy. But if you're someone who...
which means no paneer.
Yeah, no
Take a note, guys.
So that is obviously your gut health. Then comes to your hormones, right? You need to know where you are hormonally.
I have a question for you. So does it really work when people say, oh, she's hormonal? Stay away, she's getting mood swings. So hormones do work.
100%, right? Like 100%, of course. Because if you are not balanced hormonally, you'll just never know who you really are, because our behavior depends so much on what our hormonal health is like, right?
True.
We know what it's like, PMS, and we know how we feel immediately after. So balancing your hormones is key. And then comes food psychology, which is my favorite most topic, because I think this is literally, it sorts you out. Right. Once your relationship with food is sorted, it plays out in so many other places in your life, right? So
what is food psychology?
The way you think about food, the emotions that arise when you see a piece of cake, if you're not hungry. Because when you're hungry, you'll obviously give in. But if you have a lot of emotional stuff going on, like for example, even if you're PMSing and we have something important coming up, we have a deadline to meet, it's stressful. And then we eat.
Eat without thinking,
without
not
thinking,
mindful.
Because your food psychology matters so much. So I feel if you fix your relationship with food, that is the long-term solution to, you know, being healthy, being the weight that you want to be, all of that.
That's lovely. I'm sure our listeners are making notes. Nashi, you know, we're talking about gut health, we're talking about hormones, we're talking about food psychology. What about the sleep factor? You know, I mean, I know a lot of people I meet who sleep for few hours and yet they look very fresh. And I know people who sleep for long hours, yet they look tired and groggy. Why is that?
I am so glad you brought this up, because, you know, timing your sleep is like timing your investment. There's this guy called Sean Stevenson. He talks about money time sleep.
Right.
Now, this is so interesting, because what happens when we invest too much money at the wrong time? There's disaster, there's pain. But when we invest little money at the right time, there's reward, right? So you get so much money back.
Yes.
So this is called money time sleep. And the money time sleep window is between 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So this is the time where you are primed for things like your growth hormones, your repair enzymes, your melatonin is at its peak. Right. So I don't mind if you sleep at, say, 10 o'clock and wake up at 3, no problem. Because you've got your REM cycle. Your REM cycle is where your brain, you know, processes all the subconscious data. It's your memory forming sleep. That's when we wake up feeling, oh my God, I feel I slept like a baby. Have you heard that?
I know, yeah.
And such few of us have that these days.
And sleeping well is such a big problem, especially during 2020 when most of us are very active on social.
Absolutely.
So, you know, what are your tips, like, you know, for people who are very active on the internet? I know people who keep their phones on. They have anxiety. Do you think these factors actually add up for you not to sleep well at night?
100%.
So give us a few tips so that we can get a nice good night's sleep, like you mentioned. Like, you know, like a baby sleeping in the night.
Yeah. So for that, it's again, the stuff is very simple, but it's hard to do when you actually start practicing it. But the first thing is get sunlight. You want to sleep well? I have about 6 things that I tell all my clients. First thing is get sunlight. You know, we feel only our eyes have photoreceptors. Actually, even our skin has it. So when I expose my skin to the sunlight, the skin absorbs it. I get a lot of daytime hormones, serotonin.
Oh my God. And that is something that people don't do in Dubai, right? We are mostly indoors, in air-conditioned rooms.
Exactly. And just even 10 to 15 minutes, you get the daytime hormones. That serotonin converts to melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing you got to do is reduce like how you said, you know, the gadgets that we all use. That gives out blue
updating on social media, checking out how many likes I got on social media.
All of this stuff gives out blue spectrum light.
Okay.
And that comes in the way of our REM cycle that I spoke about. So also, cuddle. You know, if you have a partner, then cuddle with your partner, because women secrete oxytocin, men secrete prolactin, and all of this also helps with the REM cycles.
So what Rashi is trying to say that if you don't have a partner, go look for a partner. And if you don't have a partner, you can probably cuddle up with a cushion, right?
I mean, yeah, there are so many. There are body pillows these days and God knows what not. But the other things you can do if you don't have a partner is take an Epsom bath, so Epsom salt bath, because those really relax you out. Don't overeat at night, because what happens is that when you overeat, cortisol goes up, Pappas. And if the cortisol goes up, your serotonin won't come out.
That's true.
Because we want to go by the circadian rhythm, you know. So that's why it's important that post 7:30 or whatever, try and keep your foods, you know, whatever you eat, really light.
So what is circadian rhythm?
I'm so glad you asked this, because this is so important, you know. We have an internal body clock, and this internal body clock constantly coincides with the sun and moon cycle, whatever's happening outside. Right. Our body is so beautifully designed to secrete hormones at the right time, just to coincide with this moon and sun cycle. So, let me explain this to you. When we wake up in the morning, cortisol and serotonin are at their highest, because we want to feel good, we want to be active, so cortisol is at the highest at that time.
True.
Post that, metabolic hormones are secreted, so that the digestion happens, absorption of nutrition happens, so we get energy. Then at around 6:30, the metabolic hormones turn off, giving us the cue we need to stop eating. Of course, there are some of us who eat so much
Yes,
later on.
yes, yes.
But that's your cue, you need to stop eating. Post that, melatonin goes up around 8 p.m. Time for your gadgets to go away so that melatonin production can happen properly. Finally, at night when we are sleeping, growth hormones and repair enzymes are secreted. So we get our better REM. So you see how beautifully your hormones are secreted based on the time of the day.
Absolutely.
In the morning, you have serotonin, cortisol. In the night, you get melatonin. But this only works if we keep up with the circadian rhythm,
Yes,
you know.
yes,
Especially
yes.
during the lockdown, how many of us have messed up our sleep-wake cycles?
We have.
Yeah.
Okay, talking about the lockdown in the year 2020, you know, we've spoken about our physical health with
Yeah.
you. What about our mental and emotional health, you know, with hashtag emotional health, mental health,
Yeah.
trending big time on social. Let's face it, everybody
100%.
wants to be mentally and emotionally fit.
Yeah.
So these are the factors to be considered, right? So if you could break it down, Rashi, you know, what are the points to remember to take care of your emotional and mental health?
It's such a vast topic, but if I had to really cram it into 3 points, I think the first thing would be, let's not judge our emotions. You know, we were talking about this the other day, right? Society has made being happy and being positive, it's glorified.
True.
I'm not saying I'm against happiness, but shoving your negative emotions and not processing them is not the answer to true happiness. Because this creates an internal denial pattern, and then we get in a zone where we just shove it at the back, we don't process it. And what are emotions? Emotions are energy in motion.
Wow.
So if you suppress it, at some point it's going to manifest in your body.
So like they say that, you know, have a good cry if you're not feeling good. Cry out loud.
Crying is not a bad thing. Cry. And men need to know this as well. You
Men
know?
can cry too. Yeah, there's no harm in that at all.
Exactly. 100%. Crying is just releasing of that emotion.
True.
Cry, feel happy, feel joy, feel the things you want to feel. Because when there's radical acceptance of your emotions, whether it's positive or negative, that's when you'll be okay asking for help. Otherwise, it's going to be suppressed and it's going to come out in some way or the other. Chronic inflammation, autoimmune conditions, PCOS, anxiety, man.
Wow. So next time when you look at a picture, an edited picture on Instagram, don't take that on face value. Because that is a picture on Instagram. Your life is not perfect.
Yeah.
You can cry, you can have your lows and feel it.
And Instagram is just a highlight of what people want to show you.
Absolutely.
You know?
Rashi, what you're saying is totally profound,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense. And it's because I meet so many people who are struggling with anxiety these days. I think the first thing is not to judge your emotions.
Right.
The second thing I've noticed is, you know, we all have a set of core values, which are very dear to us.
Yes.
Doesn't depend on what the religion tells you or what your parents tell you or what you've grown up thinking. It's a set of core values that we all identify with. Now, when we go by our core values, when our action matches our core value, that's when we have more emotional well-being. Because we have a sense of grip over the environment.
So core value means something that I believe in.
Core values is your set of things that, yes, you believe in, that you will feel better off with if you go by. For example, one of my core values is being healthy.
Right.
I also like being social, but that's not my top core value. So just for the sake of pleasing people, or to tell myself, oh, I'm not a boring person, or to feel like I'm not a loner, if I keep going out, meeting people, drinking, eating junk, just to fit in, I am not being true to myself, right?
So don't be a people's pleaser.
I mean, that's one of the ways of looking at it, because for me personally, being healthy is a higher priority core value compared to being social. For you, it could be something else. What is your core value?
Being honest.
I mean, honesty is one of your core values.
Yes.
So, if you had to get, say, a project which brings you a lot of money, and you had to go ahead and do it, but you knew that it's not your
Right
true
way, yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
you'll do it, you'll be temporarily happy, but it won't give you that inner
peace.
Yeah, it won't give you that inner satisfaction. You know, so you might get a lot of money, but if you're not sticking to your core values, that's when conflict happens. And I've seen a lot of people go through conflict when they're not sticking with their core values. Lastly, the third thing I'd like to add to this particular topic is detaching from our stories. You know, we are like story-making machines.
Right.
Throughout our lives, there's a story playing. And most often, this story or this template is created when we are young. So someone could grow up with the belief of, I'm not good enough. And then when you grow up, you play that out. You will make sure that it plays out in some way so you feel not good enough. You'll not apply for the job that you feel is a bit out of reach for you.
Wow.
Because you just feel. So I think it's important. Using mindfulness will help you detach from these stories and observe them rather than play it out constantly, I think that's important as well.
Amazing. So it's not really just about your physical health, it's also about your emotional health. Like Rashi mentioned, don't be a people's pleaser. If you feel low, feel it.
Yes.
Feel your emotions instead of shoving a red velvet cake.
Exactly. Stop
Trying
using
to
food as a
curb
crutch.
your feelings.
We use food as a crutch all the time.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons that people emotionally eat.
Of 100%.
That's a different topic
That's
altogether.
and we will be covering it next episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we spoke about physical health, we spoke about emotional health, we spoke about mental health.
Yeah.
What about spiritual health? More and more people, you see CEOs, you see professionals, media people, journalists, radio presenters, TV presenters, actors, actresses getting into spirituality. Yeah. You see a lot of people getting into spirituality. Spirituality is the new thing. Hashtag spirituality. So if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about this because I speak a lot about it on Instagram and everywhere I can.
Yes.
And I think to me, I think spirituality is connection to source. Mm-hmm. And I think this connection to source is literally the foundation for all the other 4 things that I've spoken about.
Yes.
I think this is the base. Now, here's what I believe, and this is my opinion, and like everyone has their own opinion on spirituality, this is mine. I think as humans, we have this horizontal existence where we sleep, we wake up, we eat, we get a job, we make money, pay the bills, we sleep, we repeat.
Yes.
And we keep doing this over and over again.
True.
This makes us believe that our existence or our happiness lies outside, right? And then we start to feel like we start chasing all these things, thinking I'm going to be happier. And all of this makes us believe that power is external, right? And then something happens in our life. Either we lose a loved one, or we lose a job, or,
some tragedy happens.
Some challenge happens, which takes this external power away.
True.
And then we have no choice but to move into this, lift ourselves up into this vertical existence, which I think is connection to source, because there's more, there's depth, there's more meaning, there's more purpose.
Absolutely.
This connection to source makes us understand that power is actually internal.
The inner journey begins.
Yeah,
wow.
Exactly. The inner journey begins.
That's like an aha moment for me, and I'm sure for our lovely viewers.
And I think, again, a balance between this horizontal and vertical existence is spirituality. And that's when we not just survive, but we start to thrive.
Amazing. That's an amazing line. Aha moments happening on this show. Physical health is not really about eating right. It's what you consume emotionally, mentally,
yes,
and spiritually.
Absolutely.
This journey is getting super exciting. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Thanks a lot.
So guys, do stay connected with us. We'd love to hear from you. Your Insta handle.
It's at Rashi Chowdhary.
And my Insta handle is at Pallavi Talks. We'd love to hear from you and follow us for all the action. Lots in store for you. The woods are lonely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Now, if you're thinking, why am I all profound and, talking to you on a deeper level? Because this journey of being physically fit is a long journey. And what fun it is to have you on board on this show. My Dubai presents Food for Thought in association with Waterfront Market and Adil Trading. Stay hydrated, stay fit, and join us for yet another exciting episode next week.